What is going on, you guys? My name is Rage and we're back today with the final node of Dark Dimension 4 for the global nodes. Starting off here, it is going to be a continuation of the same 4 characters I've utilized in my previous videos. Starting off, Mr. Sinister here to provide some versatility for our team, being able to clone and manipulate the situation depending on what we need. You bet we're taking him on board, similar to the previous 2 nodes. Synergizing Mr. Sinister is going to be Emma Frost, being able to cleanse away negative conditions on our team, as well as stripping positive buffs from the enemies, as well as providing a nice stun. Next, we got Ghost here, once again, extending negative conditions, really synergizing with the blind when Emma Frost is utilizing it, and we're going to utilize her Striker to prevent that turn meter from building up and really almost kind of cause a pseudo stun for our enemies. Last but not least, Black Widow's stun and speed up is going to be very essential for us, just to buy us a little bit more time as we're pushing through these nodes. These are the same 4 characters I have utilized for both nodes 4 and 5, and now we'll dive right into the gameplay. And as per usual, you guys, I am going to be directly referencing Dutch Rudder's Dark Dimension 4 guide because, I've used it in all my past videos, but it just proved to be such a great guide to follow in terms of being able to navigate, really highlight which key characters we need to focus on, especially when it's detailed wave by wave, and also want to expect how many enemies we can actually take down before the next wave spawn. So I highly recommend it. It's going to be in the link in the description below. But starting off here, you guys, you can see that we actually have a Black Bolt that's going to be able to utilize his both his special and his ultimate repetitively, as well as Cable actually having the same thing as well. So we just got to be mindful of that. That's why really for me the focus is going to be taking down, as noted in the guide, it's going to be either Cable, Black Bolt, as well as Crystal. And Crystal's reasoning is because of the fact that she has good DPS and she synergizes extremely well with Black Bolt. So you can see right there at the beginning, we do actually stun Black Bolt. And what I'm trying to do right now is buy us time in terms of being able to prevent damage. This is where it's great having a character such as Emma Frost, being able to apply a blind, and it buys us a turn because you really want to keep doing that. And what we really want to start doing from the get-go is you start utilizing our Mr. Sinister to build an army. This is how it's doable with only 4 characters in global because Mr. Sinister, he's the X factor. If we slowly build up an army, we're gonna be ready to go. And Captain America is nice because he's got a defense up, he can generate energy for our team, and he's gonna synergize with our Black Widow and in being able to protect our team and strip away positive buffs. And you can see here, after buying some time here, we're just consistently just putting down negatives in terms of blind, stuns, and Goats is going to go ahead now and actually, whenever you see an opportunity where there's just so many negatives, it's a great chance to actually also use her basic to prevent a character from having a turn. So I saw that Crystal's turn was coming up and I prevented that. So I highly recommend you guys putting the Striker on Ghost to actually utilize that, especially if she has the vulnerability on one of the enemies and she can do a double strike. It's extremely effective and potent. And this is a great time actually, when you see her, you can actually use her ultimate there, extend all negative conditions, and just does immense damage because it does scale with health. So I highly recommend her. She's definitely been a very much appreciated addition in Dark Dimension. I definitely found by having this team, there's just a lot of negative conditions with the blind, the stun, as you can see here. And you can see I have actually now 2 Captain Americas. So reason being is because we just want to build up an army to constantly generate energy. And by generating energy, we're going to be utilizing our abilities over and over, especially if it's a stun, a slow, a blind, And the key thing is, remember, Black Bolt does have his repetitive abilities. So that's why consistently, when you have a chance, make sure he's always stunned because he's the one that's going to be doing a lot of damage. And once again, I cloned another Captain America. Now we have 3. And again, his shield bash is so amazing because he can also strip away positive buffs and we can resume our damage. At this point where there's 43 out of 46 characters left now, I really would focus on taking down characters such as Black Widow and Crystal because Black Widow has a stun, Crystal's got the heals, so just keeping them all stunned and getting ready because remember, once this entire wave clears, the next wave does come and we want to be mindful and ready with our abilities. But fortunately, take your time as well because we can definitely keep building up an army of Captain Americas. So I definitely did go a different route than what Dutch Rudder recommended because he wanted Crystal, Black Bolt, and Cable to go down. But I think if you have enough crowd control, I left Black Bolt on the board at the very end because he's a very slow character. So that was my logic, but well, definitely keep him in mind because his abilities, right? I would say if you have the opportunity to stun him, keep him stunned and just kill the other characters around him just because you want to fully utilize how slow his speed is. But if you don't have a crowd control team such as Emma Frost or Black Widow, then for sure Black Bolt should be one of the first characters to go down, just because, you know, the moment he takes down, and he has very powerful abilities, and his offensive prowess is very, very terrifying. So you definitely don't want to be on the wrong side of it. Now in this next wave you see here, you guys, we got the Shield Assault, Miles here, Nick Fury, Symbiote, another Security, Spider-Man, Rhino, and then as well as an Agent Coulson. And for this cluster, I do highly recommend 2 potential clone targets. It's going to be Symbiote Spider-Man and as well as the original Spider-Man, just because they both actually have a stun. But personally, the top recommendation would be Symbiote, because he has a stun, he has a slow, and on top of that, he, similar to our Ghost, can also extend negative conditions. So we definitely want to fully utilize that to the utmost. So at this moment, really focus on applying the defense down, spreading that. But again, we want to make sure we get it done, and when we have that opportunity to do so, combine that with Symbiote Spider-Man and Ghost's extension to keep that stun for an additional turn. And because we have the advantage of so many Captain Americas and being able to utilize his energy to clone more, definitely take your time. You can see the first character I did take down was Agent Coulson, but you can just kind of see how we're going to manage all these waves now. It's actually not a concern. I know some players have speculated this wave 2 is different depending on when you started Dark Dimension 4, but in my opinion, if you have a good team with the crowd control, it doesn't really matter which characters are on the other side, so as long as you make sure that they're stunned and then the negative conditions stick. So now at this point, I would really focus on just really cleaning up the board, taking down the enemies that are weaker, because if everyone's stunned, there's not really a priority order here. But in case you guys don't have these crowd control characters, I would focus on positive characters such as Nick Fury that can summon minions, you know, Spider-Man because he's actually squishier. I would leave Rhino and Security as well as Miles Morales for later on. Definitely want to take down the characters that can provide benefits to their team first. And just to fast forward to save you guys a bit of time here, because they were all stunned, I just consistently built up energy until the last character here, leaving Rhino to be the last, just due to how tanky he is. And remember to keep in mind, when you have only one character left here, just make sure you're taking your time to kind of build up that energy for the abilities to be utilized, because we want to make sure we're ready for the next wave. And the next wave is going to be a little different, because with the previous 2 waves, you know, we could have fully cleared it, and then we were able to actually start off with the new waves. But in this one, we're only able to actually take down 3 enemies, then another wave does spawn. So once again, now with all my refreshes, I'm going to start my process of stunning. Again, activate Captain America's defense up energy, especially for our team, to make sure that they have that appropriate sufficient resource to be used. And for this wave, the key target is going to be Negasonic, but we also want to take down any high damage dealers or buff providing allies. So Nick Fury and Cable are the ones I'm looking at, because they have good damage, and then they can also summon enemy minions to help out. That being said, because I have 2 symbiotes, a couple of Captain Americas, and even a Nick Fury now as clones, you know, I do really make short work of these guys, because the moment you start stunning them and start extending them, especially with Symbiote Special and Ghost's Ultimate, you can see how straightforward this becomes, right? Everyone's stunned, and really we're just kind of taking our time, building up energy once again, just keeping them perma-stunned. But keep in mind with this wave, there is another one that actually comes here at 27 characters remaining. So we just want to be very careful about which enemies we actually take down, because there is going to be a cluster of Deadpool, Cable, and Coulson spawning at the 27 mark. And then as you'll see right there, I was able to finish off a cluster there. I absolutely love Ghost's Ultimate. Just buys you a lot of time, a great amount of damage. And really at this point, I would just focus on taking down whoever's weaker. Personally, just due to the fact that in the guide here, you know, Rhino is a little tanky. So, I mean, I would prefer to take him down. That way, he can definitely go ahead without him taunting. But again, it's sometimes it's not really up to you, but you can definitely have those specific targets in mind and just pursue and proceed with the game plan. And if it changes up, it's okay, because especially with this node, I definitely see it being quite feasible. So at this point, I go ahead and finish off that Rhino as noted, and then you're going to see actually the next 3 characters spawn as mentioned previously, so that's why it's good to be aware of it. But at this point, I would just focus on picking down the rest of the characters that are weaker, but again, it's going to be consistent with the previous one where we can actually clear all these characters, and then that actually starts the next wave. So it's nice that we can actually take down anybody that's weak and get them out of the way, as well as build up our team once again. So at this point, I just cleaned up all the guys that are weaker, and again, just continue the stun. You can see that these guys aren't really taking a turn at all, because it's not every day that you have multiple Captain Americas as well as Coulson. Now we have a symbiote, only one symbiote Spider-Man on our team left. One of them actually got taken down, but just that energy, that constant flow of energy is really what makes this absolutely steamrolling. I mean, honestly speaking, the MVP here is Mr. Sinister, you guys. So if you're watching this video and trying to plan on which characters to take in to really build up, the key recommendation is Mr. Sinister can single-handedly take down this node for you, even if you have 3 other different global characters. Him just having that opportunity to clone all those Captain Americas is really what's making it feasible. I personally left Cable for last because, again, he's just continually stunned, so it didn't really mean anything to me. But in this next wave, it's going to be Miles, another Spider-Man. It's going to be Shield Security, Agent Coulson. There's another Captain America now, Quake. Negasonic's back, as well as Deadpool. So you get your second chance actually here of once again, cloning Captain Americas if you need more. But personally, you guys, I don't think we need any more. If anybody falls, you bet we'll take them down. But now, once again, we'll start our cycle of stunning. We're going to target all the key characters that actually have special abilities, or as well as high damage targets. So, Negasonic, Agent Coulson, they're definitely the strongest in this bunch. So those are the ones I would focus on. And keep in mind, too, you really want to maximize Ghost's ultimate here whenever there's an opportunity. There's a stun and a blind by extending it. But again, I saw that I could actually buy a little bit of time there, so I wanted to land my second stun first and then activate Ghost's ultimate to maximize that efficient use of her ultimate. So there you go. Negasonic stun right there. And once again, following up with the ultimate now, 2 characters stunned for 2 turns, as well as the blind on Deadpool. Absolutely, absolutely beautiful. That's exactly what you want to follow. And this is how you really kind of keep them under bay, especially when you have so many stunners. And now we have Symbiote Spider-Man special extending another turn. So right there, Agent Coulson stunned for 3 turns. And this is really the secret to this node. Honestly speaking, they gave us some great characters to clone. So that's why it's so straightforward. So for me personally, I did aim to actually take down Negasonic first, just because she is squishy, but she also has some really good impacts on her abilities when she was able to make a move. But again, it's really not going to matter if you guys have a really good mixed team here, because not many of these characters are getting turns. So right now, at this point, I am going to focus down on just taking down whoever's weak and clearing the board here for the next wave here. Now, the only thing that's a little sneaky about this wave is that the moment you get to 16 enemies remaining, if you're following Dutch Rudder's guide, 3 characters actually do spawn, and it's going to be Symbiote Spider-Man, Cable, and Nick Fury. So just keep that in mind. You might want to have a stun ready to go just in case, because you might be too distracted with all the other enemies. But at this point, the moment they spawn, I did go ahead and stun them and just kind of like get them out of the way. Good news for you is that you got Mr. Sinister and you have an empty spot. There's another opportunity to actually clone Mr. Symbiote Spider-Man back again for your team. So just a good consideration there in case you guys wanted that second chance. And at this point, we do want to just clear up the border. So you see that the 3 new characters that were added up, they're the 3 remaining because obviously their health pool is the highest. But again, if they're continually stunned, it's not going to matter, you guys. Not really too much to say about this node. We'll finish this up for the last wave here. And again, not too much difficulty. So as long as you have some good crowd control, I don't think it's going to be an issue for players. But keep in mind, not every team's created equal, right? So it's really important to have the team synergy and combinations, especially in Dark Dimension. That being said, you guys, we go ahead and finish off Symbiote Spider-Man, and you'll see in the last wave, it's going to consist again of characters we're already familiar with: Cable, Miles, Shield Security, Negasonic, another Symbiote Spider-Man, Black Bolt actually can utilize his ultimate non-stop, Deadpool, and Miles. So I mean, right from the get-go, there's 2 characters we have to focus: Negasonic and Black Bolt. They do a lot of damage. They also have their abilities being repeated, so that's why we have to be mindful of them. So those 2 would be the ones I would stun right away from the beginning, and then making sure that they stay stunned and never getting a turn. And that being said, you guys, and keep this in mind too, it's going to be different depending on how the enemies take damage. But at this point, if you make sure that they're all stunned, really, I'm just focused on finishing off whoever's weak and just getting out of the way. And remember, this is node 6, so that means all the characters we're using right now, we don't have to hold back. We don't have to save up any of our energy, because this is the last time we'll be using them in Dark Dimension 4. As much as I love these guys, it's unfortunate that we have to move on to the cosmic nodes, right? That being said, you guys, I do hope this video does help. Hopefully it has enough insight to give you an edge over this, especially if you're preparing beforehand. But really, I think the key is getting a Mr. Sinister. And for me, I thought Black Widow just really outdid herself. And I know there's a lot of controversy between whether or not we should invest in her, but honestly speaking, even if she doesn't really have a place in the meta overall in the game, the fact that she's so cheap in Dark Dimension, there's likely going to be a Dark Dimension 5. She's just going to be a lock for me going forward, just because she's just going to be one of those cheap characters I can utilize in global notes going forward, especially with Mr. Sinister as well as Emma Frost. So I mean, I can't argue enough for her. I loved her in Dark Dimension 3, especially that synergy with Ghost. So you bet I'm going to definitely keep using her going forward. But just to tell you guys, consistent with my previous videos, once again, this was only a one-shot attempt, and we were able to take away all the damage there in the 66.98 million. So far, everything has been one shot. So, I mean, I'm loving the Dark Dimension 4 so far. It's been super straightforward, much better than Dark Dimension 3. So all the feedback is definitely correct. And as always, you guys, I do like showing you my achievements for just a day's logged in as a personal tracker. 518 is where I'm at right now, and I did start at, I believe, 516. So I mean, we're just ripping through this. Thank you as always, you guys. Do appreciate you checking out my videos, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.